You think being nice will win you love? No. It will only make you invisible. You think being friendly will bring you respect? No. It will only invite people to use you. Stop being too friendly. Because in this world, people don't value what's easily available. They chase what they cannot have. So if you want to be respected, if you want to be valued, you must set boundaries. Not walls of ego, but gates of self-worth. Because a life spent pleasing others is a life wasted. Now listen carefully, because this will change how people treat you forever. Have you ever noticed how a candle burns itself out while trying to bring light to others? Some people in your life are like those who only come to you when they need warmth, yet they offer nothing in return. You give them your time, your attention, your kindness, and in the end you are left drained. They take, they consume, they benefit, but do they ever truly give back? Do they ever pour into you the way you pour into them? The truth is, not everyone deserves your energy. Imagine waking up in the morning with a full battery, just like your phone. Every conversation you have, every situation you engage in, every person you meet takes a percentage of your charge. By the end of the day, you either feel fulfilled or completely exhausted. The difference? Where and to whom you give your energy. Some people recharge you, they uplift you, they bring peace and joy. But others, they drain you not because they need help, but because they thrive on consuming the energy of others without giving anything in return. Think about that one friend who only calls when they need something. They never check on you, never ask how your day was, never listen when you speak. But the moment they need advice, money, or emotional support, they come running. And you, being the kind and generous person you are, always answer. You give, you comfort, you solve their problems. And once they feel better, they disappear. Until the next time. Does this sound familiar? Now imagine a cup of water. If you keep pouring water out without refilling it, soon there will be nothing left. Your energy works the same way. You cannot keep giving to people who only take. You cannot keep engaging with those who leave you empty. Life is too short to spend it on people who don't respect, appreciate, or reciprocate your energy. Look at the most successful and peaceful people around you. Do they entertain everyone? Do they allow anyone to waste their time, emotions, or mental peace? No, they choose carefully. They know that their energy is valuable, that their time is sacred. They invest in relationships that nourish them, in conversations that inspire them, and in people who bring meaning to their lives. Think about a lion in the wild. It doesn't chase every fly that bothers it. It doesn't waste its energy on things that don't matter. It walks with grace, with focus, with purpose. And that's exactly how you should carry yourself. Stop entertaining people who drain you. Stop engaging in conversations that don't bring you growth. Stop giving unlimited access to those who don't deserve your presence. Some people will say, but isn't it good to help others, to be kind? Of course, kindness is a strength. But kindness without boundaries is self-destruction. You must know where to draw the line. There is a difference between being kind and being used. There is a difference between being generous and being taken for granted. And most importantly, there is a difference between loving people and letting them drain you. Imagine you are a tree. You have roots that keep you grounded, branches that reach for the sky, and fruits that you offer to those around you. A healthy tree gives fruit, but it also needs water, sunlight, and care. Now, if people only come to take your fruits but never water your roots, what will happen? Eventually you will wither, you will break, you will stop growing. This is why you must be mindful of where your energy goes. Look around you. Who are the people that make you feel lighter and more fulfilled after you talk to them? Who are the people that make you feel exhausted, frustrated, or unworthy? The ones who bring you joy. Keep them close. The ones who drain you, love them from a distance. This is not about being selfish. This is about self-respect. If you don't protect your energy, no one else will. If you don't value your own time, no one else will. If you don't learn to say no, people will assume your yes is unlimited. So starting today, choose wisely. Be kind, but don't be a doormat. Be generous, but don't be a sacrifice. And most importantly, protect your energy. Because not everyone deserves it. Have you ever wondered why diamonds are so expensive? It's not because they are the only beautiful stones on earth. It's because they are rare. Their scarcity makes them valuable. If diamonds were as common as pebbles on the ground, no one would care for them, no one would go out of their way to buy them, no one would treat them as precious. This is the law of scarcity. People only value what is limited, what is difficult to obtain, what is not easily available. And this law applies not just to objects, but also to people. Think about this. When you always say yes, when you are always available, when you are always the one reaching out, people begin to take you for granted. Not because they are bad people, but because human nature is wired this way. The more accessible something is, the less people value it. The more they have to work for something, the more they appreciate it. If you are always giving your time, your attention, your presence, without making people earn it, they will never truly value you. Look at the most sought-after luxury brands in the world. They don't put their products on sale. They don't flood the market with endless stock. Instead, they release limited editions. They make people wait. They create exclusivity. Why? Because when something is scarce, people desire it more. They feel privileged to have it. They respect its worth. Now apply this to your life. When you are always available, always the one making plans, always the one responding instantly, people start assuming you will always be there. They stop valuing your presence. They stop appreciating your time. They treat you as replaceable because they don't feel the need to earn your attention. But the moment you step back, the moment you become a little less available, something shifts. Suddenly they start noticing your absence. Suddenly they start wondering about you. Suddenly they begin to value what they once ignored. Look at the people in your life. Have you ever noticed how those who are always giving, always caring, always trying to please, are the ones who are often taken for granted? And on the other hand, those who are a little mysterious, those who don't give their time so easily, those who don't reveal everything about themselves immediately, these are the people who intrigue others. These are the people who hold power. Think about the most admired celebrities, leaders, or influencers. Do they post every detail of their lives? Do they make themselves available to everyone at all times? No. They maintain an element of mystery. They choose what to share and when. They control access to their energy. And because they are not always available, people chase them, admire them, respect them. This applies to relationships too. If you give your love, your affection, your time too easily, the other person stops valuing it. If you are always the one texting first, always the one adjusting your schedule, always the one trying to make things work, the balance is lost. But when you hold back a little, when you create space, when you let them come to you instead of always running to them, suddenly you become more attractive. Suddenly they start missing you. Suddenly they start appreciating what they once ignored. Even in friendships, the same rule applies. Have you ever noticed that the people who don't try too hard to be liked are often the ones who are most respected? While those who overextend themselves, trying to be the nicest, trying to please everyone, are often the ones who get ignored. Why? Because people respect what they have to work for. They value what they cannot easily have. You must understand this. Your time, your energy, your presence, they are all valuable. But if you give them away too freely, people will not see their worth. The moment you start controlling your availability, the moment you start setting boundaries, the moment you stop chasing and let people come to you, everything will change. Look at nature. The rarest flowers bloom in the highest mountains. The most breathtaking views require the longest hikes. The most valuable treasures are buried deep. Nothing precious is easily accessible, and neither should you be. If you want to be valued, respected, and desired, stop making yourself too available. Stop offering yourself too easily. Be like the diamond. Be like the luxury brand. Be like the rare flower. Because people only value what's scarce. And when they realize your worth, they will never take you for granted again. There is a common misconception that being friendly means being weak, that being kind means being a pushover. But this is far from the truth. True friendliness is a strength, not a flaw. It takes courage to be kind in a world that can be harsh. It takes confidence to be warm in a society where many people are cold. But the mistake many make is confusing friendliness with being overly accommodating, with having no boundaries, with allowing others to take advantage. Think about the sun and the moon. The sun is warm, it gives life, it provides light, but it never begs to be seen. It does not chase the planets, it does not lower its power to please others, and yet everything revolves around it. That is how true friendliness should be, radiant, confident, and firm. It should not mean bending over backward to please people who do not respect you. It should not mean tolerating mistreatment just because you don't want to upset anyone. Imagine a person who is always smiling, always accommodating, always saying yes to everything no matter what is asked of them. At first, people appreciate their kindness, but soon they start expecting it. They assume this person will always adjust, always be available, always agree. And slowly their kindness is no longer seen as generosity but as an obligation. They are taken for granted. And when they finally say no, when they finally set a boundary, people react with shock or even anger. Not because they are bad people, but because they got used to this person being too nice. And in their minds, that meant easy to control. Now think of another person who is also friendly but with a different energy. They are warm but they have boundaries. They are kind but they don't tolerate disrespect. They help but only where it is deserved. They say no when needed, without guilt. And because of this, people respect them. Their kindness is appreciated, not exploited. This is the difference between being friendly and being weak. A strong person is friendly by choice, not by fear of rejection. They don't try to please everyone because they understand that not everyone deserves their effort. They are kind, but they don't tolerate nonsense. They offer help, but not at the cost of their own peace. Take the example of a teacher. A good teacher is friendly with students, encouraging, supportive. But the moment a student starts disrespecting them, the teacher sets a boundary. If they let students walk all over them, the entire class would lose respect. But when they remain firm yet kind, they earn admiration. This balance is what true friendliness should look like. Warm, but never weak. Look at nature. A river flows gently, giving life to everything around it, nurturing trees, animals, and lands. But if someone tries to block it, it carves through rock, creating deep canyons, unstoppable in its force. This is how you should be. Flow with kindness, but don't let anything or anyone stop your self-respect. Many people think that in order to be liked, they must always agree, always adjust, always be available. But the truth is, the most respected people are those who know their worth. They treat others well, but they also demand the same in return. They are polite, but they do not tolerate disrespect. They are approachable, but they do not let people misuse their time and energy. In relationships, this principle is even more important. If you are always the one who compromises, always the one who adjusts, always the one who gives without receiving, soon your kindness will be taken for granted. But when you set standards, when you communicate that your friendliness does not mean you are desperate for validation, people respect you more. They value your presence. They know that if they cross a line, there are consequences. Have you ever noticed how people admire those who are both kind and strong? The leaders who listen but also stand their ground? The friends who support but also know when to step back? The colleagues who are helpful but don't allow themselves to be overburdened? These are the people who have mastered the art of being friendly without being weak. So, the next time someone tries to test your limits, remember, being nice is a choice, not a duty. You do not owe anyone your time, your energy, or your peace just because you are friendly. Your kindness is a gift, not a weakness. And those who mistake it for one will soon learn that a truly strong person may be warm, but they are never easily controlled. Most people struggle with boundaries not because they don't know how to set them, but because they feel guilty about doing so. They worry about hurting others, being seen as selfish, or coming across as unkind. But what they don't realize is that without boundaries, they are allowing their energy, time, and emotions to be controlled by everyone except themselves. Boundaries are not walls. They're not meant to shut people out. They are filters that ensure only the right kind of energy enters your life. They protect your peace, your priorities, and your well-being. Think about a house. A house has doors, and those doors have locks. You don't leave your door wide open for anyone to walk in at any time, do you? No. You decide who gets to enter, who stays outside, and who is allowed into the most personal areas of your space. Boundaries work the same way. You decide who gets access to your time, your energy, and your emotions. You don't just let anyone drain you whenever they please. You set limits, not to push people away, but to protect what matters. Now, let's look at a real-life example. Imagine a friend who constantly calls you to vent about their problems, but never asks how you're doing. Every time you pick up, it's the same story. They offload their emotions and you listen patiently, offering advice, support, and comfort. But when you need someone to talk to, they are nowhere to be found. You start to feel drained, exhausted, maybe even resentful. Why? Because there is no balance. You have allowed them unlimited access to your emotional energy without setting any limits. The moment you decide to set a boundary, perhaps by limiting the time you spend on these calls or by telling them you can't always be available, you might feel guilty, you might worry they'll be upset. But what's the alternative? Continuing to let yourself be emotionally exhausted just to keep them happy? Boundaries are not about saying no to others. They are about saying yes to yourself. When you decline an invitation to an event you don't want to attend, you are saying yes to your own comfort. When you refuse to take on extra work that isn't yours, you are saying yes to your mental peace. When you walk away from a toxic relationship, you are saying yes to your self-respect. Many people struggle with boundaries in their workplace as well. A boss asks them to stay late repeatedly, even though it's not in their job description. A colleague keeps offloading work onto them because they know they won't say no. And instead of setting a boundary, they comply. Out of fear, out of obligation, out of guilt. But the reality is, the more you allow people to take advantage of your time, the more they will. The day you confidently say, I can't stay late today, or this is my responsibility, you are not being rude. You are respecting yourself. And ironically, when you respect yourself, others start respecting you too. Boundaries also apply to family. Just because someone is related to you doesn't mean they have a right to control your decisions, invade your personal space, or manipulate your emotions. Too often, people feel guilty for setting limits with family members, believing they owe them unlimited access. But love does not mean unlimited sacrifice. You can love your family and still say, I need space. You can respect them and still say, that topic is off limits. You can support them and still say, I'm not responsible for fixing everything. Relationships flourish when there are clear, healthy boundaries. Without them, resentment builds, misunderstandings grow, and emotional exhaustion takes over. But when you communicate your limits honestly and firmly, you create space for mutual respect. The right people will understand, the wrong ones will be upset, and that's okay. Because boundaries do not push away the right people, they filter out the wrong ones. One of the most powerful things to understand is that setting boundaries does not require an explanation. You don't owe anyone a long justification for protecting your time and energy. No is a complete sentence. You do not have to feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. If someone makes you feel selfish for having limits, it only proves how much they benefited from you having none. Think about your phone's battery. If you kept running every app, every notification, every background process without restriction, your battery would drain in no time. That's why your phone has power saving mode. It limits unnecessary usage to preserve energy for what truly matters. Your life should work the same way. Don't let every situation, every request, every demand drain you. Preserve your energy for what is important. The biggest challenge people face when setting boundaries is fear. Fear of losing relationships, fear of disappointing others, fear of being misunderstood. But the truth is, those who truly value you will respect your boundaries. And those who get angry when you say no, were only using you for their benefit. Boundaries are not selfish. They are a sign of self-respect. They are not barriers, they are bridges to a healthier, more balanced life. And the sooner you learn to set them without guilt, the sooner you will reclaim control over your time, your energy, and your happiness. Silence holds a power that most people fail to recognize. We live in a world where everyone is in a rush to speak, to explain, to defend, and to prove themselves. But those who truly understand power know that silence is often the loudest response. It demands attention, commands respect, and leaves a lasting impact. In many situations, what is left unsaid speaks louder than anything that could be verbalized. Think about the moments in your life when silence has made an impact. A long stare when someone expected an argument. A moment of stillness in a heated conversation. A quiet departure instead of a dramatic confrontation. Silence carries weight because it makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to reflect, to question, to wonder. And in that space of uncertainty, silence becomes a force stronger than any words. Consider a scenario in a heated argument. Two people are engaged in a war of words, each trying to outdo the other, to win, to make a point. But then one person stops. They say nothing. They simply listen or walk away. The other person is left speaking into the emptiness. They expected a reaction, but they got none. And suddenly, they are forced to deal with their own words, their own actions. Silence disarms people because it removes their ability to control you with their words. It shows them that you are not easily shaken, not easily provoked. It leaves them with their own thoughts, which is often more powerful than anything you could say. In relationships, silence is a test of true connection. A deep bond does not require constant conversation. Two people can sit in silence and still feel understood. They can communicate without words, through a glance, through a presence that speaks louder than sentences ever could. But on the other hand, silence can also reveal distance. When words stop flowing between two people who once spoke endlessly, it is not always a lack of things to say. It is sometimes the presence of emotions too deep to be spoken. Silence in this form can be heartbreaking, but it is honest. Think about powerful leaders, wise sages, and influential figures in history. The strongest among them are not the ones who react to every insult, every challenge, every criticism. They are the ones who know when to stay silent. A king does not argue with a commoner. A lion does not roar at every barking dog. When you respond with silence, you are sending a message that you are not affected by the noise. And nothing frustrates those who seek to provoke you more than your silence. Even in battles, silence is a strategy. In chess, the most dangerous move is the one that is not immediately obvious. In war, the strongest armies are those that move in silence, unseen and unheard until it is too late. The same applies to life. When you remain silent, people cannot predict your next move. They do not know what you are thinking, what you are planning. They become uneasy, uncertain. And that uncertainty gives you power. Silence is also a great teacher. When you stop talking and start listening, you learn more about the people around you. You notice the small details, the subtle shifts in tone, the things left unsaid. You begin to see people for who they truly are, not just for who they pretend to be. Those who speak too much often reveal their weaknesses, but those who know when to remain silent hold the advantage. Silence can heal. In moments of grief, no words can truly comfort a heart in pain, but a silent presence, a hand held without words, a hug that says everything. These are the things that bring true comfort. Sometimes words are unnecessary. Sometimes they only dilute the depth of what is felt. Silence allows emotions to exist without force, without pressure, without the need for explanation. There is a reason why the most powerful moments in nature are silent. A sunrise does not announce its arrival with noise. It simply appears. And in its silence, it captivates the world. A deep forest carries wisdom not in words, but in the rustling of leaves, in the stillness of ancient trees. The ocean, despite its vastness, does not need to explain itself. It simply exists, and its presence is enough. The same is true for you. You do not need to explain your worth. You do not need to justify your choices to those who do not understand them. You do not need to respond to every insult, every provocation, every misunderstanding. Sometimes, silence is the best answer. It is not weakness, it is not avoidance, it is strength, it is control, it is the power of knowing that your energy is too valuable to waste on unnecessary words. People will try to pull you into their chaos, into their drama, into their endless cycle of words and arguments, but you must remember that silence is your weapon. It is your shield, it is your strategy. The moment you stop explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you, you reclaim your power. The moment you stop reacting to negativity, you free yourself from its influence. Not everyone deserves a response. Not every situation requires your voice. Sometimes your silence will teach them more than your words ever could. And that is the ultimate power, knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the talking. There is nothing more painful than realizing that someone you care about doesn't appreciate you. That all the effort, the kindness, the support you have given has gone unnoticed. That the very people you prioritize wouldn't do the same for you. But the truth is...